Hello, investors. It's Don Vandenbord, Senior Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today is Friday, November 17th, 6:27 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you from Orlando, Florida tonight on the road, attending the annual Martin Armstrong World Economic Conference. Martin's a fascinating guy. He has written an artificial intelligence computer named Socrates that it's a little more complex to just describe in a few words. But let's just say this is the 9th year, I believe, I'm coming to these, and very eye-opening and fascinating. We'll have a little bit of an abbreviated version tonight, not the big show. We will no tail of the tape, but we'll blast through about 40 or so charts and give a quick overview. So, state of the market. Uptrend continues since the back-to-back follow-through days on November 1st and 2nd. You can see the trend gauge over here. We had an upgrade. We'll get to that in a second. Market leaders, green arrow, bullish. Short term, all 5 of the major indexes are trending above their short-term 21-day exponential moving average. Here's the upgrade, also above their medium-term 50-day moving average. And early next week, the slopes of the small cap and mid cap indexes will hook up. That's a positive sign, and we went ahead and upgraded from neutral to bullish today. I give more weight to the NASDAQ and S&P, and they've been above for a while. So green arrow there, still mixed on the 200-day moving average. Mid caps basically closed right on the 200-day. Small caps, despite a nice day today, still trying to get through the 200, rejected on Wednesday near that level. All 3 of the big cap indexes, the Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ 100, firmly above the 200-day moving average. So what happened today? Leaders, leaders, leaders. The title of last week's big show was Leaders Gonna Lead, and that's what we saw this week. S&P 500 and NASDAQ continue in their 3.5-day very tight range, but leaders continuing to outperform, show great action. Here are the numbers. The big 7, they're not leading. It's newer names. It's money coming out, well, not necessarily coming out of, but not bidding up the big 7. We saw this after the breakout back in March also, how the big 7 held up. And then after the rest of the indexes caught up, they went sideways for a little while before resuming their uptrend. I'll point this out when we get to the NASDAQ 100 chart. But the big 7 down an average of 0.16% today. RG8 up 1.2. Like to see that. S&P up 0.13. The broad equal weighted RSP up 0.48. Like to see that. NASDAQ 100 just barely positive, 0.02%. Equal weight outdid that, up 0.37%. Dow just barely positive, mid caps up 0.84. Russell 2000 small caps outperformed, up 1.35%. Big bounce back in oils today. Global diversified 60/40 up 0.33%. In-house GROTECTION leaders did the job today, up 0.63%. Let's get to some charts, and we'll start off as we always do with the S&P 500. This is the SPY, but let's go to the S&P, and you can see the continued tight action here. Let me bring up a 15-minute chart, and this was a subsequent follow-through day. And since basically right before lunchtime on that day, we've been trading in 85, 21, 21 and 15, 36-point range, less than 1% range for 1, 2, 3.5 days. Something's got to give. The tightest range being today, only 14 points. Again, closing a nicer afternoon, a little bit of a give back late, but good stuff here. Can't get above 45.21 for now. High today, 45.20. That was tested twice. So that 45.21 high from Wednesday still persists. You see how tight the action is. Same stuff, but it's good to see leaders outperforming. NASDAQ 100, same situation, very tight action. 3.5 days. and not led by the big cap indexes. Let's look at the equal weight indexes here, and let's go to a 15-minute chart here. A little bit of a mixed bag here, but a wider range. Up, giving it back, still trading pretty tightly, however, less than 1% there. Let's look at RSP. You know that the equal weight indexes lagged for a while. They're still challenging right at the 200-day moving average. Let's go to the Dow. Dow tight range also right around this 35,000 level. Mid caps and small caps. Here's where the action was today. Here's mid caps up 0.87%, closed right at that 200-day moving average. What we want to see is a move above the highs right now from Wednesday when we had the negative reversal, the too far, too fast negative reversal. Same thing on small caps. We basically are right where we closed the first day of the big move up. That was the 14th. That was Tuesday. And want to get through this 200-day moving average. That's declining. That's the next thing to look at for the big caps. Let's go to the VIX. Down 3.63%, keeping in actually down more than the indexes were up today. So we like to see this lower. That means less volatility. It implies less volatility anyway, barring some extraneous event. I know extraneous isn't a word. It's a combination of extraneous and exogenous, and that's kind of an inside joke here at Revere, but we'll move on. Here's the dollar. Dollar down 0.5%, making lower lows. That's good for stocks. How about the precious metal complex here? Here's GLD, basically flat today. GDX, not GDZ. GDX down about 0.5% today. Hi-ho silver, basically flat. Bitcoin trying to get higher, but reversing off of the highs that it's made over the last week and a half, but up 1.49% today, holding above that 8 EMA. Let's get to bonds now. Bonds tight range, up slightly on the day. TLT up 0.5%, making newer highs. You know, if we're making newer highs, that means the yields are coming down, right? TYX down 0.5%. That's a lower low since we broke below that triangle. TNX, the 10-year, that's a lower low close as well, down 0.1%. All right, we're going to go right into, since there's no tail of the tape, let's just bang through some charts. First of all, these first 12 or so are going to be what we own in the portfolio. And focus on this list. There's 45 names in here on the relative strength line and the 8-day exponential moving average. Strong trends, just kind of ride the 8 EMA higher, and that's what we're seeing. Then occasionally you get a pullback to the 21, maybe 2 bounces off the 21 before there'll be time for a breather. But we'll start off with CrowdStrike. Nice day today. Netflix consolidating after 3 nice up days. CCJ, higher highs, up 1.5%. There's Bitcoin. We already looked at that. Again, we own all these if they've got a red flag over here. Lilly, small up day recapturing the 21. Microsoft, pullback bounce at the 8 EMA. Amazon, 2 days down, reclaiming most of that, up 1.7% today. AMD, near recent highs, bounced off the 8 yesterday. DraftKings, up 2.8% today, new highs after the earnings report and the breakout. Meta, still holding the 8 EMA. NVIDIA, 4 days tight now. They've got earnings next week. Datadog, tight inside day today. Here's the S&P 500. Duolingo, we added to this today, up 1.8%, bounced off the 8 yesterday. Bellring, right at the 21 leader. We'll see what earnings have to say about this next week. Pinterest, nice tight action with an upward bias. Undercut reclaimed the 8 today. CEG sitting on the 8. ANF moving out to higher highs today. Some really nice reports from some retailers sparked the retail sector today. NVO reclaiming the 100 level. FRO bouncing at the 21. Deckers can't get back above the 8 EMA after the downgrade yesterday. We took our profits up here when it was extended in this tight range here, considering re-entering, but no catalyst or trigger for that yet. FTI below, we're going to take this off the leaders list, below the 21, below the 50. I knew that would happen. When you delete one, it loses its place. Here, where are we? Okay, Arista Networks, nice recovery after the shakeout, after the Cisco's bad report. XPO Logistics Firm, new highs. VRT, up near the top of the range. Nutanix, hanging around that 40 level in the 8 EMA. Uber continues to make higher highs. Dash, looking good. Higher highs, 3 tight closes. Palantir, this is the one that moved out today. Look at the comparison of the bars. The big blue volume bars, the down days on lower volume, this is being accumulated. Race, not a lot of people talking about this, but there was no recession for the wealthy as Ferrari makes higher highs. GoDaddy, not a lot of people talking about this one either, but this has been a rocket since its earnings report. Celsius, it's a failed leader now. We're going to take this off. And I did it again. Yeah, Celsius, that's one we got stopped out of. That's really the one of the few that we took a position in that didn't work out. Light and Wonder, consolidating after its earnings move up. App, not doing so well. I'm not going to take it off, though. Wing, a lot of the restaurant stocks acting pretty well. I don't have CMG on here just because of how high priced it is. I would like them to split their stock, but this is looking great. Affirm, volatile stock. Probably won't get into that for that reason. Mongo acting great despite not having earnings, but it moved on some other cloud software earnings names. Seeing resistance at the 400 level. PDD, earnings next week, earnings next week. A leader, and it's Temu retail site is really catching on in America. That's the N. Expedia, people spending money on travel. Look at those big blue bars. Mercado Libre, nice breakout of a cup and handle. Again, high price, not likely we'll get into this. Shopify at the top of the midpoint or of the pivot of the double bottom base. And Transmedics, great earnings report. A little bit on the thin side, but this is a heck of a story. Still below the 200-day moving average, but I want to keep an eye on it, just like I want to keep an eye on Coinbase, as that's a beautiful cup that's being formed right below the 100 level. That's going to wrap it. Abbreviated version of the Revere Market Insight video. As always, like to hear from you. You can reach out, email don@revereasset.com. The phone is 855-REAL-WEALTH, 855-732-5932, or my partner Dan Stewart, Dan@Revere Asset, if you're interested in becoming a client. Monday after the close, I'll be interviewing the FinTwit interview extraordinaire, Richard Moglen, the topsy-turvy interview. And that'll be published over the Thanksgiving holiday. You have any questions for Richard, let me know what they are. I'm really looking forward to that. He interviewed me last June, and I've always been curious about the story, Richard's story. Started as an engineer. I was a software engineer for almost 3 decades before transforming into finance. And well, you'll listen to the story if you don't know about it, about how he got into finance after being an engineering student. So look forward to that next week. And with that, I'm going to wrap up the Market Insight video for Friday, 11/17. Remember, it's not how much you make in the market, it's how much of that you can keep. We're in how much can you make right now as the market is in a strong uptrend. Thanks for listening and have a great weekend.